You are such a nerd.
Apex is legit, bro.
Tim, I can't start recording until I play one more round of Apex.
No, we were in the middle of like a 20-minute match.
Oh,
We finished
okay.
top 3.
We?
Me, my pastor, and his son.
Nice. Do you guys pray together while you play?
We do.
Yeah.
They pray I stop cussing.
Is it working?
No.
No. Okay.
Of course not.
That's fair.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. So I just want to jump right in right away with episode 157 of Fathers of the Grind. My name's Tim Nestor. Derek Teague is here. Eli
Hi.
Teague is also here.
Yeah, Eli's in the background. Say hi, Eli.
Yo, what's up?
Nice. And he's back there playing Apex Legends, which I know is a game that you're spending some time with, but we're going to avoid those for now. If we have time at the end, we'll talk about what we're playing. There's 4 major games that are either just released or are in early access, and I wanted to talk about those. And so we'll just go alphabetically real quick. First one being Anthem. So Anthem, if you've got EA access or I think it's Origin, Premiere, whatever it's called, you have early access to it on Xbox One or PC or both. So so a lot of people have had a chance to play it. I have EA access just for this month. It was $5, so I figured why not. And so I grabbed it and downloaded and tried the free trial of this. And I put about an hour and a half into it. Not a ton of time into Anthem. So I have some thoughts, but not a lot. Maybe you have some more. But first, let's just talk about, is it better than people thought it was going to be based on the beta? Is that fair to say that it's better than that?
Yes. I played the beta on Xbox, and then I've played the full version on Xbox and PC. So just comparing the Xbox results from beta to full release, it's definitely an upgrade as far as connection issues are pretty much non-existent. Yeah, every once in a while you'll run into a little glitch or whatever, but it's not even close to what people were experiencing, and even I experienced in the beta. The other thing is in the beta, the graphics were good, but they weren't it wasn't like clean or detailed. Like it wasn't as crisp as I feel like it looks now. I wouldn't say it's native 4K. If it is, I'd be shocked, just because it doesn't look native 4K. And now that I've played it on PC and seen native 4K, it's definitely cleaner on my PC. It's way prettier. Like it's not even close. Like after I saw it on PC, I was like, ooh, I need to buy a copy on PC because I'm not going to play on that sorry, lame-ass 1X console after seeing the PC version.
Yeah. You truly are like, you're just going after the shiniest new object. That's your thing.
Absolutely. That's actually, not that you want to be sidetracked, but that's what I talked to God about tonight. It's like, Lord, I'm literally the type that just goes from one thing to the next. Like, that looks better. So that would explain why I have issues.
That's a great habit to have, really in all areas of life.
Yeah, because I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm happy. And no, I want that. I want that. My friends make fun of me, too, because I do that a lot.
So I do think this game looks pretty. I've got it on the One X. I was already told that I'm wrong, and it's not that pretty of a game, and that's fine. Maybe I'm missing something.
You were told by one person who's an idiot, and we've talked about him 1,000 times on the show.
Let's not even say his name. Don't give him that honor. Don't even give him the honor.
No, he's an idiot. He says every game is PS2, PS3, ugly, blah, blah, blah.
We will talk about a game in a little bit that is disappointing visually, but I think Anthem delivers visually on the One X. I think it looks great. I think it
does look
smoothly.
Good.
I'm sure that if you slow down and really look at textures, maybe there's some things lacking, but all I can say is that in the heat of the action, flying around, I love flying around in those javelins, which are kind of like these mech suits that you wear. It looks really good. I think they handle the visuals really well. The explosions look great. When you're in the town talking to human characters, I think their faces look fantastic. I think it looks good. It feels very BioWare. And I mean that.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, when you consider everything that's going on, like in that game, like the flying, there's usually when you're in like a mission or whatever, or you're in a fight, there's usually about 15 enemies on the map with your 4 characters. So you've got 19 to 20 characters all on the screen, shooting, moving, exploding, and the world looks as good as it does. The characters look as good as they look. I think they've done an amazing job, especially like I said on the 1X and definitely on the PC, to make the game look as good as it looks. Yeah. And then I'm gonna guess on Xbox One X, it's running anywhere from 25 to 35 frames per second. I'm sure it drops and lifts and all that stuff based off what's going on. But they still do a really good job. There was never a time when I was playing on the One X where I was like, "Oh, this is stuttering so bad. I can't play this." Like, it was all smooth. It's not. If it's 60 frames per second, I'd be shocked. It doesn't feel like 60 frames per second. But it feels like it's about 30 frames per second, which is great for that type of game.
Yeah. And keep in mind, this is a online game, but you can play it single player. A lot of the moments, like the story and stuff like that, feels single player. And then when you jump into a mission and you've got all these enemies to fight, it's actually nice to have a crew with you. You don't have to talk to them. You know, you can just do a random crew. And you're all going after the same things. You're all trying to accomplish the mission together, and it can just fast track some of that stuff. If you really don't want to do that, then when you go to start a mission, you just say private. You just turn off all the online options, and you can just play it solo.
That's what I was going to say. I think the thing I'm so far, again, I put in probably 10 hours. I put in about 7 or 8 on the Xbox, and then I did another 2 or 3 on PC so far. But I would say the thing I'm most impressed with is that you have a Destiny-style game that is pulling off a story-driven type game like Mass Effect, where I feel like I'm playing Mass Effect, but I'm allowed to bring my friends in and join me. And that's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, for those who don't understand, I still think Destiny did a good job, but Destiny still felt like I never felt like I was playing Halo or something like that. It still had a story. It had a good story, but it felt like you just select this mission, and the way the missions are designed are, we're going to have you replay this mission over and over. Anthem isn't designed that way. Anthem is like, you're going to play this story mission one time, and you're going to watch this cutscene one time. And so what I mean by that is they'll have cutscenes in the middle of the mission while you're playing with other people.
Right.
And I think that's great, because that makes me feel like I'm playing a story-driven game and not just some action game that tries to tack on story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it certainly is an action game, though, too. I mean, you jump and fly and glide around and shoot a lot of weapons. And so you have lots of different weapons to choose from. I feel like in the few missions that I've run so far, I've come back with tons of loot. Of course, most of it is junk, but it's just cool to know that I'm picking up lots and lots of stuff I can either break down or sell or whatever. And there's lots to upgrade as well. I already kind of tweaked the javelin a little bit. I picked the Colossus, so I jump in there and start smashing things, which I like. It's pretty fun. But I think overall it's a pretty fun game. If you like, if the idea of a sci-fi game where you're in this outdoor kind of foresty setting most of the time, if that appeals to you, then give us a shot. I think it's a lot of fun. And by the way, I'll say the one thing that was missing from Destiny was until they introduced Cade. I think Cade was a nice addition, but they struggled to really create characters, especially.
See, I really love you, stupid you retard of a squad.
Hang on, I gotta hear this. Oh, that was it.
Your squad is your friends.
No, I'm talking about the squad that killed me, Dad. Chill out, dude.
You just got embarrassed. That was embarrassing that he had to correct you on that one.
It's annoying. I don't like him. Eli, I don't like you.
This game is trash.
All right, bro.
There's a sniper.
Are you still playing with Jake?
Yeah.
Why are you telling him it's trash? You're probably annoying him. Just go play Fortnite. All right.
Anyway,
back to the show. Not Apex. Anthem is really good. Like, if you are on the fence, get off the fence.
Yeah.
Don't listen.
I think it's got a pretty
idiots.
compelling story. This one feels like you said more like a Mass Effect or Halo level of story. That's really, it kind of pulls you in right away. I think the lore is interesting. The setting is interesting. And I'm sure that as the game goes on, elements of it are going to feel repetitive, but in the early going, I am super intrigued and really enjoying it. So I like Anthem a lot. It doesn't officially release until this coming Friday, the 22nd. But if you have EA access or feel like ponying up the $5 extra to get EA access, then you just go to the game, and once it's downloaded, you activate the free trial. There's a little ... beside play, and you activate free trial, and then you get 10 hours of access to the game.
Or if you have on PC, it's called EA Premier. It's $15 a month, and you actually have full access to the game. Like, you're not cut off by the 10 hours. You can
like Game Pass,
beat the
basically.
game. Yeah, you can beat the game right now.
Yeah.
Which I thought about doing.
It is out in the open for a lot of people to use, of course, not broadly released until this coming week. So we'll talk more about Anthem when we get more time with it. But there's our first impressions are very positive. And overall, it's one of those games that I'm like, wow, I could see myself really diving into this. I hope that it maintains that level of interest and intrigue, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll say this. Out of the 4 games I played this weekend, besides Apex, it was my favorite. Like, it's the one I wanted. Eli, hush. It's the one I wanted to play the most. So, and that's how I still feel. Like, the other ones, like, I like, and we'll talk about them in a second, but they don't compare to Anthem.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, we will talk more about Anthem in the next episode or so. But let's jump right now to one of the more divisive games that just released. I mean, this game was delayed, finally released. It's been the big tentpole Microsoft exclusive that everyone's been pointing to, and that's Crackdown 3. And this game currently is sitting on a 60 Metacritic average for Xbox and 58 for PC.
Okay.
And so it is not. Wait, does he need you? I said Dad.
I don't know. He doesn't quite understand. Like, before I started recording the show, I told him, you got to be quiet. He doesn't understand that. It's like he's a mini version of me who doesn't understand you don't have to talk always. Like Megan always says, you like to hear your own voice. You just talk.
Ask him if he likes to hear himself talk.
Eli, do you just like to hear yourself talk?
Be quiet.
Sorry, like, I'm being nice now. He knows once I'm off the show, I'm going to turn off the Xbox and he's done for the night.
Oh, okay. All right. Does he have off school tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bummer for him. Also, you want to play Apex, I'm sure. All right. So Crackdown 3 it's out. Not everyone loves it. I think it's fair to say that most reviews came down pretty harsh on it. Maybe deservedly so. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I've actually, of the games we're going to talk about today, this is the one I've played the most. I know it's not a super long campaign. It's not.
How long is it supposed to be?
I think it's supposed to be in the 15-hour range, maybe a little less.
Longer than I thought. I thought you were going to say like 8 or 9 hours.
I could be wrong. I could look that up again. I don't think it's like, so for example, I just finished Kingdom Hearts 3. I'll talk about that later if there's time. That game took me just under 40 hours, and I didn't repeat any worlds. I didn't do a ton of side stuff. I did some.
I'm not beating that game.
But that game is lengthy. Now, maybe I did do more side stuff than I remember, but anyway, it's a lengthy game. So now hearing that Crackdown 3 is, I think, in the 12 to 15 hour range. I could be wrong on that.
Far Cry New Dawn's only 8 hours. That would explain why it was $40.
Which makes sense. Yeah, which makes sense. But for Crackdown 3, a lot of what fills the time are very repetitive missions. So I just want to get in and talk about what it's like to play this game. It is a very repetitive open world game. Mm-hmm. And it's got a pretty decent sized map. It's about what you'd expect. And then there's a series of missions that you are taking on because there's this leadership tree. It shows you at the beginning, you've got your main boss, and then she has her main lieutenants, and then they have their main lieutenants. And so then you've got these layers of villains you're trying to take down, and you get access to them by completing a certain type of mission. So one guy, his mission is a chem plant, and you have to go blow up all the chemicals and the machines in that plant. Another one is a vehicle storage unit for this lady who runs a bunch of like the armory stuff. So you got to blow up all the vehicle. And so those are the same type of missions. They get progressively more difficult. You know, of course, certain ones have more enemies there. They'll call in backup, and it can get really insane with the number of enemies that charge at you. But there's not really that many mission types, and they do get a little repetitive. And so I see why that's a knock against it. But here's where I think the game shines, and that is it's just straightforward, blowing stuff up fun. I mean, it's just a fun third-person shooter where you jump around, fire your ridiculous weapons at everybody. There's plenty of ammo. There's ammo refill spots everywhere, so you can go and reload all the rockets or grenades or sniper rifle bullets, everything that you want is right there. And you just go unload on everybody. And if you die, it's pretty forgiving. You just load to the closest safe house point, and you jump back in, and your progress is already there. Like the enemies you've killed are gone, and for that little area that you're trying to take out. So I'm finding to be a nice, dumb, fun kind of game. But I totally see why folks are a little disappointed with it. But I wanted to get your initial thoughts on it too. Mine are basically that I think it is a fun game. I don't know that I could objectively say this is a really good game. I would say it's good. It's one of those ones that's it's fine. But I do think it's getting a little more hate than it deserves. But we'll talk about that in a minute. What do you think from what you've played of Crackdown 3 so far?
So one of the things I wanted to look at is I know it was reviewing poorly. Like IGN gave it a 5 out of 10, and the little bit I played of it, it literally feels like, well, first of all, it feels like the original Crackdown, which since it is a sequel to the original Crackdown, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, let's all forget.
Let me say this from the beginning. I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth because I've heard the complaints and I haven't like gone off on anybody because I'm not like, oh, you're just bashing it because it's a Microsoft game, because I kind of get why they're complaining about it. And that's their perspective is, okay, yes, this is a sequel to Crackdown. Like Crackdown 2 is kind of crap. So it is a sequel to Crackdown. Forget Crackdown 2. And so it feels too much like Crackdown, like it didn't evolve in the last 10 to 12 years since the original release. So I get that. I understand that. But then I look at, like, for instance, and I get that these are two different people, but remember, this is still IGN. IGN gives Agents of Mayhem 7.1, says it's fun but repetitive. They then get Crackdown 3 and say it's fun but repetitive, 5.0. Kind of seems a little harsh. Again, I understand it's two different people, but the game, and I've played both of them, they play the exact same. The exact same.
I never played Agents of Mayhem, so that's interesting.
They look exactly the same.
Same
So
that cartoon.
I do want to address in our group, there are a lot of people bashing the graphics. I'm sorry, that's really idiotic because it does not look like a PS2 or a PS3 game. It looks like a next-gen Borderlands cartoon type game. That's exactly the art design. That's exactly what it looks like, and it looks extremely clean in 4K. Now, the only thing you can knock is maybe the way buildings look as far as how they're drawn, but it's not because of bad graphics.
I think the art design of the environments is actually quite drab, and they do a good job of it gets spiced up a little bit because there's all these like holographic advertisements everywhere and they're all over the place. So that does help a little bit, but most of the buildings and most of the ground textures are super drab and it makes the game look worse than it actually should. When you're in full on battle mode and there are just tons of units coming at you, you've got tanks and you've got these vehicles and these flying drones and then characters coming at you throwing grenades. And it's all running so smoothly, and I'm able to jump around and boost side to side and shoot everybody. I haven't had any slowdown issues. I haven't had any major glitches. I've had a few little glitches here and there where I've fallen through the floor and I had to reload a last save. But other than that, it's been running just fine for me. So I'm with you there. And I think that the visuals are fine. If not, boy, I wish they would have been a little more creative with I don't know, some of the ways the city looks, but it doesn't take away from the game. The game looks fine. And by the way, when you're up high and you can kind of see long distance, the draw distance is pretty impressive too. You can see a long way and see some details a long way. And so I think
that's what I said. I get people's complaints. It really is about perspective. It's not me trying to be politically correct. If I felt strongly against them, I would rip them all to shreds, be like, you're all stupid. I do think the whole graphics complaint is dumb. I'm saying that is dumb. It looks exactly how they wanted it to look, and it looks good, especially in 4K, HDR. Yeah. It looks phenomenal.
That's what I was saying.
It's just the art style. So you're either saying you don't like the art style or you do. I like the art style. I like Borderlands. I like Crackdown. I thought Agents of Mayhem looks good. Is it my favorite? No, I would prefer like a realistic look, but I'm okay with that look. It gives you that cartoony, like crazy, like action that I think they're going for with this. And that's where I think a lot of, I don't quite understand. And it's not just our group, it's also reviewers. Like, what game are you reviewing here? If you know it's a sequel to Crackdown, why are you expecting it to evolve into like The Last of Us? Like, you're not getting a PlayStation AAA game. I think I even saw you talking about, like, so I'm gonna call you out. on how this is like an empty shell of like what Spider-Man is. To me, has nothing to do with Spider-Man. Like they're not trying to make a game like that. It's not making excuses. Could they have done better? Did they hype this game up? Of course. That's why I said I'll talk out of both sides of my mouth. It should have been better. I think they should have had destructive environments. I think you should have been able to play the campaign and be able to blow up whatever you can blow up. I think that would have taken that would have made people feel like, okay, I'm not just playing Crackdown. I'm playing Crackdown on crack. And I think that's what a lot of people wanted. I'm just saying, for me, I've only put in about an hour. So I'm sure if I played it more, I'd be like, okay, this is repetitive and annoying. But I think it's fun, and I think it pulls off what I thought it was going to be. So that's why I said perspective is important here, because I'm coming into it going, it did exactly what I thought it was doing. The people I'm seeing complain about it, for the most part, are people saying either they never played the original Crackdown, or they were like, well, this is a new AAA from Microsoft. They should do better. Should they? Or is this what this is? Like, if this is what Halo 6 looked like, then we need to talk, because they're making some changes. But they're making the sequel the way it should be made. It's just like I said, they fall short on certain things. Like, I think they could have done destructible environments. I think they could have added more RPG elements. They could have added to it so it didn't feel like you're just basically playing a remake of Crackdown 1.
And by the way, the RPG elements are basically do a lot of this thing or collect a lot of orbs for agility, and you will slowly grow in that area. So if you keep collecting agility orbs, for example, your jump distance will slowly get longer and higher, and you'll be able to eventually unlock a boost.
Which is something people liked in the first one, and I did it, but I think they kind of, I don't know if people liked it as much as they thought.
I think it's fine. I think all the other stuff you do, the strength, the firepower, and explosives is all in combat, and agility is all about just find the hidden orbs. So it gives you a little bit of motivation to do the collectible element. I remember Crackdown 1 had a lot of the collectible stuff going on.
I'll tell you what I hated, like absolutely hated in Crackdown 1, and it seems so far they've improved it a little bit, but I don't know how much. I have to play it more. There was a lot of like orbs that were in difficult places, and climbing in Crackdown 1 was the dumbest thing. I must have had patience back then, because I beat that
climbing
game.
In Crackdown 3 is awful.
Okay, so they didn't improve that. So that's a knock, because the first one, like, you would try to jump to an area and you would sit there for an hour trying to get there. Like, it won't grab onto this ledge. It won't do this.
Climbing, the ledge grabbing is inconsistent. I mean, once you kind of get the hang of it, you can make it work for you, but for the most part, I do the best I can to just get there by jumping and gliding and boosting, because climbing is such a headache. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
So climbing is not great. But I will say this, in defense of the side that would say, hey, this is disappointing because I wanted a AAA Microsoft game. Think about, and I think this is why the Spider-Man comparison, I'll actually stand by that statement, that this does feel like an empty.
You don't have to always get along. I still think you're dumb.
This feels like an empty version of Spider-Man, and I stand by that, because think about the older Spider-Man games, and I know they weren't done by Insomniac, so I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying, think of the older Spider-Man games and where they were, and some of them did a pretty good job giving you some Spider-Man feelings, but it wasn't quite there. And then with this game, Marvel Spider-Man from this past year, I think they nailed it. And Spider-Man is the game it's supposed to be, and I think it set a great path forward for that series. They finally landed, this is what this should be, and they're moving on it. I feel like for those of us who wanted the same thing for a Crackdown series, to say, hey, Crackdown 1 was fun, 2 was a bad turn for the series, but 1 had a lot of fun moments. Take that premise and make it something, take it to the Spider-Man level where it was pretty fun, but not quite there, and then complete this thing. Make this thing a full AAA package. You just, even if the story stays what it is, which is, by the way, incredibly like tongue-in-cheek, silly sci-fi, you're going in to kind of take over this city that's being run by evil whoever's, no one cares. Even if they forgot about the story aspect of it. But if they actually built out the game to take everything you loved about Crackdown and just amp it all up to the next level, everything from choosing what powers you want to focus on, all kinds of stuff, and maybe customize your guns, maybe a larger selection of guns. The gun selection, now that I've pretty much filled it all out, is good, but again, not mind-blowing. So I would actually, as I'm playing this, it reminds me of when you play something like Horizon Zero Dawn and how big and amazing that world is and how in-depth it is, and then you go play something like ReCore, it's a little tough because you want to compare those two a little bit. There's robots and you're a female character, but you know what? They're incredibly different. One's an arcadey shooter and is very, very shallow. And so they sold it for $40 and expectations were lower. This one feels more like the Recore version of, you know, the Spider-Man or whatever, or even Infamous Second Son. Now that I've played this a little more, it's a lesser version of Infamous Second Son as well. Here's your open world. Here's all the icons on your map to go do stuff. Now go do it. It doesn't quite have that same level of variety, of polish, of the RPG upgrade system that I want it to have. So I think it's okay to want that and to expect that from Microsoft for a $60 game, and it's okay to be disappointed by it. I see why people would say, hey, this is why this game let me down. This is what I wanted. They didn't give it to me. I can also see the other side that says, all I wanted was dumb arcade blast, everything fun. And you're going to get that. Like if you think Just Cause is the best game series out there, you probably also will love this game. It reminds me of Just Cause, and that there's not a lot of meat to it in terms of story or character or lore you're going to care about, but you will be able to fly around and blow stuff up, which is fun.
Yeah,
so,
and I think that's the thing. Because it's a sequel, I'm in the camp that it's doing what its predecessors did. It's just doing it prettier.
Yes, but it's a sequel that has been so many times delayed that I was holding out hope. That, boy, they're
what I don't understand. What are you delaying? Like, what big changes did you make that you're justified in being like, guys, wait, because we're not ready. This game is so difficult to make.
And that's an interesting question, because part of me wonders, they couldn't have added a lot to this because it really doesn't feel like it's that much different than the first Crackdown game in terms of just a really cool. It's very much what you did in the first game, and they don't add a lot of other gameplay mechanics like you and I've been talking about. There's not a deep RPG or upgrade or loot system to it. The multiplayer, by the way, I only tried it briefly, super weak, not great. And then there's a wrecking mode where you can go in and destroy all the buildings. It's fine, but it's useless. It doesn't do anything for you other than feels fun for a second. So what else were they doing? So it makes you wonder one of two things. One, did they cut some stuff last minute and said, forget it, whatever we were trying to build is not working. We need to get this out the door. Or are they just incompetent and couldn't get the basic stuff back down? Like, it makes you wonder what was going on. They couldn't get this.
I don't like the direction Microsoft's going. Like, I feel like I like Phil Spencer and everything, and I think Xbox in general is moving in a good direction, but I think their AAA first-party games are not moving in a good direction. I think they're getting more and more stagnant. I personally liked Halo 5 and Gears of War 4, but I can objectively look and go, okay, those franchises are starting to get stale. Hello, we need to insert new IPs. So you bring back Crackdown 3. Everybody who's an Xbox fan, I'm not talking about Sony ponies, wanted Crackdown. They wanted another Crackdown. I wanted another Crackdown. I'm not disappointed completely with this. I don't think it's a great game. I didn't pay $60. I'm glad I didn't. I paid $2 for the Game Pass. And you know me, I buy everything. And I did actually pre-order this and canceled the pre-order because I was like, nah, I'll just do Game Pass. There's too many games coming out, and I'll probably end up saying, oh, I'm not going to play this.
And that's what I would recommend for our listeners too, is get it on Game Pass. You can download it, give it a shot. What does Game Pass cost? $10 a month? $15 a month?
$10, or if you're new, it's $2, and that's what I paid. $2.
And plus tons of other. Actually, there's a lot of better options on Game Pass to try first. But whatever, you could at least give this one a shot if you want to. And I don't recommend spending a full $60 on it. I actually wouldn't even recommend if it drops to $40. It's one of those games that you wait until it's on a steep sale, or you get it through Game Pass.
I mean, Agents of Mayhem dropped to like $5. I didn't hear anybody buying it that's playing Crackdown 3.
Right.
Why do you care about Crackdown 3 so much if you're not going to play Agents of Mayhem? It's literally the same game. It's seriously the same game.
And I never played Agents of Mayhem.
People would probably say Agents of Mayhem's better because it has more characters and probably has more personality. So I really don't understand why everybody's making a big deal about Crackdown 3 and then they didn't play Agents of Mayhem.
I mean, the only reason I understand it is because it's like we keep getting served these mediocre meals by Microsoft, and there's been this one we've been hearing about for a long time. And whether it's our fault or Microsoft's fault, the hype for that has been building. And even with the delays, it's like, okay, this delay, they're going to add some extra stuff to it. This is going to be sweet. And expectations were high because game quality overall from first-party studios has been very high. with your Legends of Zeldas that have been coming out, with Spider-Mans, with God of War, with these major games that are coming out. And we're like, okay, you know what? State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves, those were kind of anomalies a little bit because they were online focused. And Crackdown 3 is gonna take that series to the next level. It's gonna be this awesome single player experience, and it just isn't. But it is good. It is still fun. I don't want to get away from the fact.
I don't think Microsoft has a good single player.
Well, they do if they'll bring Fable back, but we'll see.
Even that, I would say, and I like Fable. Don't get me wrong, but I would say, let's say Fable 4 came out, and it met expectations as far as it was at the level of Fable 1 and 2. Everybody would complain.
You're right.
They'd be like, "Oh my god,
They would
I
have to
waited
do the
20
same
years
thing.
for this."
Yeah, they'd have to do the same thing because, again, so much time has passed from last time we saw a Crackdown game, or in this case, Fable game as well, that people expect it to get up to snuff with other games that have come out in the years since. How long was
Microsoft's not doing that?
And they don't do that. They kind of stick to the same old formula.
Normally, what Nintendo does,
Yeah.
but they've changed it up. At least with Breath of the Wild, they blew people away because they're like, "Wait, this is the franchise that I've loved for 20 plus years," and they've used the same formula over and over. And to a certain extent, they still use it in Breath of the Wild, but they changed it up enough that you don't see it as obvious,
Right.
and it still feels like Zelda, but you're still blown away by the fact that this is huge, open, intelligent world that you're in.
Well, you interact with the world in a different way than you did in any previous Zelda game. Like the way
and you can do it in any order. It gave you freedom. Microsoft isn't doing that. Like, Microsoft is legit with their first party games just following by, this worked for Gears 1, let's just make Gears 2, 3, and 4 exactly the same, and the big change
did with Sony with God of War. I think that was a big risk doing what they did with God of War. You know, God of War was a very straightforward, bloody action game with kind of interesting take on Greek mythology, but mostly just about ripping heads off of minotaurs and stuff like that. Like, that's all it really was all about. And they took a big risk, I think, to bring it into this gritty, very personal, character-driven story. And it worked because they put time and effort and heart into it. And I just don't see Microsoft doing that with any of their major games. That being said, on a smaller scale, some of their games have delivered, like Ashen, like this unexpected kind of indie title that's come out. With their major racing franchise, Forza, they're absolutely killing it. You know, those games are beautiful and they drive amazing. The good news for Microsoft there is people don't really want you to create, here's a new way to drive. Now it's the left bumper goes forward and the right bumper brake. Like, people don't want you to mess with the driving. But when it comes to some of these large scale action adventure / RPG games, people want more. And so I think it's fair to criticize, hey, this should have been more than this, especially for $60, especially for how long we had to wait, and especially with all the other games that are superior to this that have come out since Crackdown 2. I think it's fair for folks to criticize it. But that being said, I think it's worth a purchase at less than $20, and I think it's worth a shot on Game Pass, one or the other, because I do think
it's fun.
I think it's good enough fun that I can recommend it at those levels, but I don't hold it against anyone who's skipping it at $60 for right now. I hear you.
I think some of the criticism has been stupid. And some of it has just been like, well, why are you even concerned with this game? Like, you didn't care about the original and you don't care about Agents of Mayhem. And I know I keep bringing that up, but I guarantee you most of the people that are listening to our show are like, I know what Agents of Mayhem is. Exactly. And it was made by a studio that you know who they are. And it's a good game, but nobody cared.
Yeah.
Why do people care about Crackdown 3? It's old school, like Agents of Mayhem. And
didn't Agents of Mayhem come out right before Fortnite, and then Fortnite took off?
It came out August of 2017.
Shortly
I remember I talked about it on the show because I bought it on PC. It was a $60 game, by the way, and I bought it for like $30. And I played it for about 5-6 hours, and I enjoyed my 5 or 6 hours. And then I was like, you know what? This is repetitive, and I'm not in the mood for this. Same thing with Crackdown. I'm not championing Crackdown 3. So if anybody's listening and thinking, well, Derek's just defending it, no. I just know I was getting what I expected to get. I did not play Crackdown 3 going, wow, this is totally not what I expected. For me, at least, it was exactly what I expected. Do I think they should have done more? Yes. We just talked about that. I think Microsoft, out of the three main studios, like first-party gaming console studios, is easily the worst, and they're not even close. Like, for me, it's PlayStation, A little bit lower than that's Nintendo, and then it's Microsoft.
Yeah.
Is trash right now.
That thing stands.
I still love Gears, and I still love Halo, but
yeah, Gears 4 was really good. Gears 4, even though it was a lot of the same feel, I think they did enough with that to say, all right, that's a pretty good direction for Gears. Let's see where they go next. But they haven't done that with their other IPs, which is a bummer. I think I'm with you. If I had to rank them right out of the gate, off the top of my head for like current gen, I do think Sony is. There's no competition. No, I don't think even Nintendo's very close, to be honest with you. I think in the last year and a half, Nintendo has done a lot of catching up, with Zelda and with Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade and stuff like that. And now with Fire Emblem Three Houses coming out, I think they're catching up. But I think Sony has done such an amazing job with first party stuff. I think that's mainly what it is. Our expectations of super high quality and blowing us away with this, kind of surprises and wow, I can't believe they did this with this game. We're expecting that these days from major first party releases, and Microsoft has not delivered that recently, which is something I hope they turn around soon. So speaking of expectations, my expectations for this next game weren't incredibly high because it is a $40 game and it is essentially a large scale expansion from Far Cry 5, and that is Far Cry New Dawn. And I've only played it for a little while solo, and then Derek and I played a couple missions together online. So I don't have a ton to say about this one. I'll let you go first, actually, Derek, on what you thought about New Dawn, and then I'll share.
I don't think we need to talk about this that much. I think if you liked Far Cry 5, you'll like this. If you did not like Far Cry 5, you will not like this. It's the same thing. I love Far Cry 5. I have very good memories of it. I loved it. I will play the heck out of New Dawn, or I'll at least beat it. I've probably put 2 or 3 hours into it. I played a good amount by myself, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's just crazy co-op fun. Even if you don't have a partner, you always have like an AI partner if you want to assign one to you. And so that's what makes it, for me, more fun, running into camps and destroying everything. And there's just waves and waves of enemies and upgrades. It's what I like. So for me, it's a fun game. It didn't disappoint. It's nothing groundbreaking. It really does feel like it would just be part of Far Cry 5. So I get why it's cheaper. It's shorter than all the other Far Cry games. So it just feels like an expansion.
Probably about the same length as Primal was, if I had to guess.
I thought Primal was longer. I felt like Primal took me like 12 or 13 hours. This is apparently like 8 hours.
That might have, and it's, for those of you who are curious, these in between the mainline games typically just take the same map and a lot of the same functionality, and then they paste it into a little spin-off. Now, Primal was a little different because they went back to, prehistoric age, so they couldn't have any of the guns. And so that was, to me, that was a little more of a unique spin. But stuff like Blood Dragon and then now this, New Dawn, they've taken a lot from Far Cry 5, and they've used the same map. There's even a lot of references to the previous story because it's 17 years after Far Cry 5.
Yeah, it takes 15 hours to beat Primal. Okay,
so it is a longer game.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one seems to be setting itself up for a pretty fun ride. I don't think here's the thing. We just talked about this with Crackdown 3. It's all about the right expectations. If you go in just expecting, hey, this is essentially continuing the story from Far Cry 5, they have not gone back to the drawing board with the way the game systems work and the shooting and the visuals. And if you liked all of that about Far Cry 5, you'll like that about Far Cry New Dawn. You will. And it does look a little brighter and more colorful. There was this big nuclear holocaust or whatever, and now it's 17 years have passed and things have grown, and there's a lot of crazy colors, and that wildlife looks a lot different. And the environment's just changed quite a bit. And there's a couple of villains, these twin sisters, who are pretty evil. And so they're doing it just as they always do with Far Cry games. They're setting up some villains that you probably won't see a lot, but they are pretty charismatic bad guys. And so that's interesting. But yeah, I'm with Derek on this one. I think it's just going to be good fun, good Far Cry stuff. But again, don't expect anything more than what you got with Far Cry 5. As long as your expectations are in the right spot.
Yeah.
So we'll update you guys more on that one too as we play it. I think I'll play more of New Dawn as soon as I finish Crackdown 3, which I'm actually off work again tomorrow. So are my kids.
Yeah, same here.
I might get some more Crackdown time in to wrap that one up and jump into Far Cry. But we'll see. We'll see. The last one I actually had hoped to play by tonight. We're recording this on a Sunday evening. I was really hoping to play Metro Exodus. It got somewhere in the 80s on Metacritic, and it sounds like it's a really solid game, and I've heard it looks great. But I actually want to give this game its fair due. And so as part of that, I want to catch up on the story, which I've heard is actually kind of an interesting setup for these games. I remember playing the first Metro game for a few hours, but I don't remember a ton about it. So I need to go back, refresh myself on what the setting and story is, and then I'll give this one a shot once I've cleared the deck a little bit. So I do have Exodus, but I don't have impressions to share with you because I have not played it yet. I'm okay with pushing this one until we have a chance to play it a little more.
I played an hour and a half. So I'll just say real quick, if you like the Metro games, you'll enjoy this one. I will say compared to the other games we were playing, it's my least favorite. So it's the one I'm not like, oh, let me go play it, because it just feels slow and weighty, and so I'm not really in the mood for that. It's heavily story driven, but the voice acting is, I get it, they're foreign, and I hate foreign people, so that's probably why I don't enjoy it. But their accents are just terrible.
Yeah. But you guys weren't aware of this, actually. On the video version, you can see Derek is beginning to build a wall right in the middle of his house to separate himself from his kids. So
you guys, exactly. That brick wall is brand new. I just started
that wall.
I put a picture of my mom on it, so it seems like it's a nice wall, but it's really not a nice wall. It's a wall of division.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, it's a good game, and I'll probably enjoy it once I'm in it. But out of the 4, so we sat here and talked about how terrible Crackdown is. I would rather play Crackdown than Metro. And Metro has got 80+ on the Metacritic.
And Crackdown's at 60. You know, that's interesting. I'm wondering, why did I play Crackdown 3 first? I wasn't hyped for this game. I've never been a massive fan of the series.
I think you wanted to know what people were saying.
I think it was a combination of curiosity, but also I knew this would be a lightweight open world game to just go in and have fun, and maybe I'll finish it, maybe I won't. At this point, I think I will, because I'm having enough fun jumping around and shooting everything. I think it's also because I just wrapped up Kingdom Hearts 3, which is a much more, although it does get repetitive with the combat too, it is a much more complex and, like I said, very long story that's very drawn out. And so I wanted something that was a little bit more of a lightweight meal before Metro Exodus. Now, maybe Metro Exodus is kind of lightweight too. I don't know. But my assumption was that it was a deeper, heavier.
It's more if you play it on like normal and above, it's like a survival / little bit of horror, not like scary horror.
So it's gonna take a little more investment than something like Crackdown 3.
Yeah, it's definitely slower pace. It's so far in the first hour and a half that I've played, it's definitely story driven, which I beat the other 2 and I remember them. I remember liking them, but I don't remember. It's like weird. They're not. I just can't remember like Last Light at all. I just remember liking them.
Yeah.
And so I know the story. I understand what it's about, but I just don't remember my time with those games very much. But I just know right now it's not what I'm in the mood for. Maybe it's just a little too slower pace, whereas Far Cry.
Yeah, Far Cry is running down.
And even Anthem. They're just these open area type games where you just go in, and especially Crackdown, Far Cry, and you just have fun.
Yeah, just blow stuff up.
It's not about the story.
Like,
I shut them down.
Yep.
Even Anthem, just stop talking.
Yep. Just blow everything up. And so yeah, Metro sounds like it's a little more of a meticulous and take your time game. So I do want to play it. I am interested in playing it. So
if you're not going to play the first 2, which I doubt you're going to have time to, I would at least YouTube it so you know who the characters are.
Right. That's my plan. My plan is to do a YouTube summary. I actually did that for Kingdom Hearts, and I said we weren't going to do this, but I'll go ahead and talk about it real quickly. I did the YouTube catch up. What was the name of the video? I think I mentioned it a few episodes ago.
Last time I think we talked.
Yeah. So I watched the kind of like catch up video on all the story, and even though it was kind of mind-numbingly confusing at times, it helped me to really enjoy Kingdom Hearts 3 a lot more. Because even though the end of that game, by the way, I'll say this, is super epic. Like there's got to be at least a dozen back-to-back boss battles, and there's save points in between and stuff like that. But so many epic fights and boss battles and big moments happen. And I think even though some of it did lose me and certain characters, I'm like, I have no idea who they are. I don't know why these two seem to have some kind of relationship from a previous game. I don't understand a lot of this. What they're saying sounds really silly and sounds like a bad translation sometimes. Mm-hmm. But at least getting some groundwork of that video actually helped me understand a little more of what are the bad guys trying to do? What are the good guys trying to do? And what's the ultimate goal here? So I feel like that did help. And so I think for Metro, I'll do the same thing where I get a little bit of the catch up and then I can enjoy the setting a little more. And I will say this, Kingdom Hearts 3, even if you haven't played any of the previous games, like me, if you're okay with setting aside a half hour to watch some of these summary YouTube videos that are out there, and there are some good ones, then you can really, I think, not only enjoy the game for the gameplay, but also you might even pick up on some of the story stuff that's happening. And I do think it's a pretty epic conclusion to it as well. So anyway, I digress. I might do that for Metro.
Man, I don't care about Kingdom Hearts 3. I have not played that since the last time we talked, so don't think I'm going to beat it. Don't care.
Hey, can you look it up real quick? What is the how long to beat on Kingdom Hearts 3?
I think it was 30 hours, but I'll look it up real fast.
Yeah, because I think I ended up spending about 35 total.
My daughter texted me and wants me to pick her up, so we can finish this show. We just have to move faster.
Or do you want to pause and continue when you get back? What would be easier?
Well, what's your schedule like?
But it's not guessing.
I've got about 50 minutes.
You got what?
About 50 minutes till I gotta be done.
All right. So do you think we could wrap it up in the next 20 minutes and then I can just go pick her up?
Yeah, because you're not going to care about most of the Nintendo Direct stuff.
No, not at all. All right. So main story is supposed to be about 28 hours. That's without extras.
So I must have done a few little side things here and there, and I finished it in about 35. It's a pretty lengthy game. It's a pretty in-depth game.
Main plus extras is 36, 59 hours if you're a
completionist. I'll stand by what I said before, too, with Kingdom Hearts. The combat does get repetitive. I mean, it really does eventually come down to a combination of attack and dodge, and then every once in a while you hit Y on the Xbox or triangle on PlayStation to activate your special. I mean, that really is all that the combat is. But for the final battle, make sure you've learned how to block, because if you don't know how to block, you're going to die a few times like I did. I had to go learn how to block before I could beat the final battle. So anyway. All right, so let's jump out of game impressions and talk a little bit more about news, and we're going to focus that completely on the Nintendo Direct that happened this past week. Just like Nintendo does, they announced it like less than 48 hours before it aired, and then here it came. The Nintendo Direct aired on February 13th, about 35 minutes of here's what's coming just to Switch. That's all they focused on was Switch. So I'll go through these relatively quickly. I know Derek's got to get going, but also some of this stuff you guys can go look up on your own, but I will pause on a few things that sound interesting. They started things off with they're going to put Super Mario World on the Switch, but no, then all of a sudden the Mario Maker menu came up, and they confirmed that Super Mario Maker 2 is coming out this June on Switch, and they've added a whole bunch of features and extra stuff. So go check out that trailer. That does look like a lot of fun. I'm assuming there's going to be touchscreen mode in handheld, so I hope so. I hope they've included that. They had another trailer for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, which does look really fun. They do have this kind of heroic zoom-in mode, too, where you can play a lot more closely to your character. They do have 4-player options locally or online, of course. So that's coming out in the summer. Box Boy plus Box Girl was announced for April 26th with 2-player co-op and 270 new levels. Super Smash Ultimate 3.0 update. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker has a free update coming that's going to add co-op. And then some paid DLC on March 14th. And then they showed a new trailer for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is looking pretty good. That comes out this summer as well. I hope that delivers. Unlike Mighty No. 9, which did not deliver. So I hope that Bloodstained does deliver. Dragon Quest Builders 2 was shown. We already knew that game was coming, but it got a release date of July 12th. And of course, they're including a story mode and open, local, or online co-op up to 4 players for Dragon Quest Builders 2. My son Shepard specifically is going to be pumped for that game, so I'm going to have to get that one this summer. Dragon Quest 11 Definitive Edition is coming out this fall to the Switch. I'm sure that when you do a side-by-side comparison, it will not compare to what the PS4 Pro could do. But that being said, the trailer they showed, which was apparently Switch visuals, I still thought looked really good.
Yeah, I think it's the art style of that game that makes it look.
Yeah, and of course, there's going to be a crispness and just a smoothness that the PS4 can do that Switch can't. But I think in general, it's going to be a good experience on the Switch. And they're adding a whole bunch of features for those who are purists that want the Japanese language with English subtitles. You can switch back and forth between 16-bit graphics and the current graphics. and they're adding some new storylines where you can learn more about some of your side characters, get some of their story. And so this is the definitive edition that, according to Nintendo's Direct announcement, is exclusive to Switch. So if you want the full Dragon Quest XI experience, you're going to have to get the definitive edition this fall on the Switch. That's a pretty big get for them. I'm excited that that's coming to Switch. Great game, by the way. Great game. Then they showed a couple of things that sound totally useless. One of them was Disney's Tsum Tsum. I forget what it's called. Tsum Tsum Festival or something. Looks awful. Overly cute and annoying. And then they have a Starlink spring update coming. More Star Fox villains and stories that are coming out this April for Starlink. Rune Factory 4 Special is a remaster coming to Switch. If you haven't played it, it's a farming and action RPG. Think Stardew Valley with the heavier emphasis on the combat side, a little more Final Fantasy-esque with some farming stuff. And then they announced that Rune Factory 5 is in development, I'm going to assume, as a multi-platform game. They announced this game coming from RPG Factory, the folks who brought us Lost Sphere and I Am Setsuna. Their next game is called Oninaki. I'm super white. I'm sorry. It's called Oninaki. It comes out this summer. It looks like an action RPG from what I could tell from the trailer. Go take a look at it. I think it looks interesting. I'm hoping that it brings the quality back that I Am Setsuna set the standard for, and Lost Sphere sort of dropped the ball. So hopefully this one delivers. It does have to do, there's something to do with souls there too. Not necessarily Dark Souls, but you can equip these different souls to do different fighting styles and stuff like that. So that one looks interesting. They showed some more gameplay and announced a demo for Yoshi's Crafted World, which I've downloaded the demo, but I haven't tried it yet, but it does look really pretty. So Yoshi's Crafted World comes out in March. Here's one that you might be interested in, Derek. The Fire Emblem Three Houses. Did you get to watch this Direct? Did you get to see this?
I didn't watch the Direct, but I watched a little bit of the Fire Emblem trailer.
And they dove in depth with some stuff here. They showed us, by the way, the release date is July 26th. So it's going to be a good summer, I think. There's a lot of stuff coming out. So Fire Emblem Three Houses drops on July 26th. They showed a new trailer. They showed kind of the story and setting. They showed a bunch of gameplay. I think the gameplay and the battles look a lot more cinematic now. The characters look a little more...
I will say about the release date, that's like perfect. Like I always complain about, there's never any games in June and July. They start in August, like usually end of August. That's perfect. Nintendo's, I don't know if they did it because they were like, hey, Fire Emblem's popular, but they're not that popular. This is a good spot for it, but if that is,
and I wonder if they saw. I mean, they saw so much success with Octopath Traveler last summer with the sales numbers there. Yeah, I mean, what if Nintendo starts dropping one major JRPG essentially every July? That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So Fire Emblem Three Houses, I believe there's something to do with these three nations, and then there's this kind of warrior academy. And what I couldn't tell is that if you're running the academy or if you pick one house, because it seemed like they were all fighting with you at different times. So I'm not sure exactly how the story is set up, but I do know that there's tons of customization and classes and skill building you can do and all that kind of stuff. You can do training for the students. It sounds really, really interesting and really fun. So Three Houses comes out July 26th. I'm pumped for that one. And then they announced an available now game called Tetris 99, which at first I thought, don't really care. I like Tetris, but who cares? But it's free to download if you have Nintendo Online, so I figured why not? So I grabbed it, tried it, and I am hooked on this thing. It is only one game mode. You jump in, and it loads you up with 98 other players, and you're all playing Tetris at the same time. And then basically you're trying to get all sorts of combos and, of course, as many Tetrises as you can to send blocks to other people, and you're knocking them out one at a time. It's very Battle Royale mode where you see where your current placement is. And you're 99th. Now you're 97th. Oop, you jumped up to 89th because a bunch of people got knocked out all at once. And it just whittles down to last man standing with Tetris. It's the same. If you ever played like Tetris Battle back on the old Game Boy against a friend, basically the more lines you get in a row, the more blocks you send to them that they now have to deal with. That's going to start filling up their screen and knocking them out. So I think it's a lot of fun. I've won it a few times, which makes me feel really good about myself because I never could win like a Fortnite or Apex Legends. So that makes me feel good.
Apparently, I'm never going to win Apex. They keep coming in second.
That's okay, man. Being second's okay. For you.
Yeah.
So Tetris 99 is free if you have Nintendo Online. Go try Tetris 99. I think it's a lot of fun and it's pretty addicting. Here's a back-to-back ones that I am not impressed by. Dead by Daylight, which is a game that's already out on other consoles, I believe. I think it's like a multiplayer, like horror game.
It's like Friday the 13th.
Scheduled for this fall, but boy, maybe I missed something. But I think maybe the visuals in this main game are rough on every system, but this looked pretty rough on the Switch. So
I don't think it's a pretty game.
Even for other consoles, it's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's a pretty game.
All right, so if you're into horror movies and horror games, and you want some multiplayer action where you could be I think you get to be Jason or whatever. You get to be the serial killer monster. It's got that vibe to it. People like this game, and so it's going to come out in this fall. I think it comes out with a bunch of DLC that's already come before it too.
Yeah.
They announced this game called Deltarune. All I'll say is this: it looks kind of like Undertale, and it looks super annoying. Yeah. I don't think it looks that great. The first episode of it is available now, with more episodes coming soon. Daemon Ex Machina is coming this summer. They hope. It's still in development, and they did put out a demo with some missions you can go try today. It's very much like a not Gundam Wing. I guess it was a Gundam. I'm trying to think of the name of the game. I'm blanking on it. I think it's even got some of the same producer and director people involved as some of these other mech action games from the past. But Daemon Ex Machina does look kind of cool, so go give that one a whirl if you're interested. That demo is available right now, and they do want feedback apparently, since they still are developing the game. Grid Autosport comes out this summer. This one was a surprise one. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is coming to Switch this spring. Again, I know it's Derek's favorite game.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's just I was a little surprised to see that one coming to Switch because it is pretty visually taxing, I would think, on that system. So I'll be curious to see how that turns out. Mortal Kombat 11, of course, April 23rd. Unravel 2 was announced for Switch, coming out March 22nd. They did confirm the much-rumored Assassin's Creed 3 remastered game, including all the DLC and the Liberation game. It's all coming to Switch on May 21st, so that is happening. Final Fantasy 7 is coming out March 26th. Chocobo's Dungeon, I think it's called Everybody's Chocobo Dungeon, something like that, comes out March 20th. So Square is getting a ton of action here. Final Fantasy 9 is available now. Unfortunately, it's $21, which
that's a big no.
Is a weird number, first of all, but also that's way too expensive. I love Final Fantasy 9, but you can get it on almost every digital device you own. Why is it $21 on Switch? So I don't recommend getting it at that price unless you've never played it. Then maybe it's worth it. But even then, it'll go on sale. So just hang tight. It'll drop. Okay, here's the one that I think that this is one of two that I'm most excited about. Astral Chain, which is this really cool looking new action game from Platinum Games, the folks who made Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. And a bunch of other stuff. This game looks really, really pretty. And so the idea is that you've got these mechs, but they actually fight side by side with you. And as you're battling, you're doing all these combos together. Looks like very intense and visually satisfying combat. It looks really, really fun. And by the way, I found out this is being published by Nintendo. So this is indeed a Nintendo Switch exclusive because they're the ones publishing this thing. So Astral Chain comes out August 30th. So another late summer release there for the Switch. And they did mention, by the way, Bayonetta 3 is still in development. So there you go. Bayonetta 3 is still on the way, but nothing has been shown yet. And last but not least, they announced a complete remake of, or some people say remaster, but it's a remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, that Nintendo Game Boy game, which my brother and I loved. We loved Link's Awakening. I played that a lot. I thought it was a really fun Zelda game. And they are completely remaking it with these really cool new visuals. Reminds me a little bit of Link Between Worlds, but even prettier than that 3DS game. I think it looks really pretty. If you don't love the isometric top-down style of Zelda games, maybe you won't love this, but I will encourage you when it comes. Give it a try. It looks really cool, and that's supposed to come sometime this year. Don't know when, but probably November, if I had to guess. So, there you go. That was the Nintendo Direct. I know that I just talked a lot. Eric, is there anything in there that you're pumped about?
No.
Not even Astral Chain?
No. That one looked okay. I did watch the trailer for that.
What about Fire Emblem?
Fire Emblem looks cool. felt like there was Link's Awakening. I thought looked interesting.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of over Nintendo, so I don't really watch the directs or anything like that anymore.
Wow,
I've turned into Sean Messler. I hate Nintendo.
You are so condescending. I don't even know what to say to you right now.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks for humoring me. Let me go through that. I thought it was a pretty good direct. Overall, pretty solid.
I think it's one of the
excited
best. Like every time you post about the directs, normally there's nothing I care about. That one, I kind of was like, okay, I like that one.
To Nintendo's credit, I think they're showing a really strong lineup of games in 2019, and it's not all predictable stuff. Like a lot of the stuff are like, whoa, that's coming to Switch. So I think they're doing a really good job putting together a strong lineup for the console this year. And I'm pretty sure it was the best-selling console of 2018. So even the Sony president guy was like, we love Nintendo. I was like, all right. You're saying that you're so far in front. Like, yeah. Anyway. All right, let's close out with our new segment of what to buy this week. There's really only one thing I can recommend to you for this week of through the 23rd of February, and that's Anthem. Comes out the 22nd. For those of you who don't have EA Access or Origin or EA Premier, yeah, I think Anthem.
So why don't we make this more difficult instead of just saying Anthem, which is what I'm going to say too. If they could only buy one game from this past week, which one would you pick between Crackdown 3, Far Cry New Dawn, and Metro?
Well, I haven't played Metro yet, so that one's hard to say, but I would say Far Cry New Dawn. It's the cheapest, and you're going to get a lot for your money. There's going to be plenty to explore and do. So that'd be my pick if I had to pick one. Yeah,
I would go with that as well. I think that's the most fun.
If you're needing some stealthy ninja goodness, this game called Origami, which has been out on other consoles for a while, that's on Switch.
That's right there in the background. That is dead sexy. He knows he's sexy. Look
at him.
Wow. No, stop it.
Stop it. I'm so sexy.
If you didn't see that, if you're just listening, Eli was in the back shirtless doing a full stretch. I mean, just a full-on stretch.
Stop it, Daddy. Stop staring at my sexy body.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up this time. Derek's got to go pick up a kid from somewhere.
Yeah. She said, I gotta read this because this is your daughter's what? How old is she?
My daughter is 6.
Okay, so you've got about probably 9 years, maybe 8 years. You got to deal with this. Are you coming now? No, I'm recording. When? I want to die. This is her. She's at her friend's house. Huh? That's dramatic. I need you to come now. I want to die. You're at your friend's house, you dramatic little baby. So I just lied to her and said, yeah, I'll be there in like 20 minutes.
All right, well, go save your daughter from inevitable death at her fun house.
I want to die.
I want to die. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you guys for listening. Derek, thanks for chatting and listening to me talk about Nintendo. You know, one of these days we're going to realize that we don't like a lot of the same stuff, and maybe we should stop talking.
We're going to realize? Like, I've known that for a very, very long time.
That's true.
But I think that's what makes us interesting. I mean, would people really want to, like, the 3 people that listen to us, would they really want to listen to us just agree the whole time and go, oh, yeah, I only like Anthem. I only like Anthem, too. Everything else sucks. No.
Yeah. No, we definitely don't do that. If anything, it's just you over there pleasing yourself.
I don't know what that meant, but okay. I like it.
Down. Yeah. All right, that's it. We're out of here.
You know what? I injured my neck from that. Thanks a lot.
Who is your daddy?
I am the father. You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Why am I not alive?
Because they killed you.